to 7 o'clock. That's a clock sister for you. On the bill, November, roll call quick. Public. At the Miller here. Ready? Here. Mitchell here. Smacko. I'm going to be late. Edwards. Yeah. Into the ball. Absent. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States here. Oliver, you thank you for being here tonight. We ask that you guide us through conducting business for the village of Roscommon. Next item will be 1.25, approval of absence. Can I get approval for Brian and Kurt? Brian's got a class and Kurt is out of town.
Make that motion. I second it.
Roll call, please.
Howard.
Yes. Mitchell. Yes. Ravi.
Yes.
Edward.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is a public hearing of 2026 budget. May I get a motion to go during the public hearing? I'll make a motion. We there a public hearing for to discuss the 2026 village budget. Can I get a second on that, please?
I second that.
Mr. Alden.
What I did say, what I told you, I'd give you an update on where we stand on the 2025 budget. And so again, the numbers in this column reflect what you passed last November, okay? The center column reflects where we're at today, and this column here is what we're proposing for 2026. So when you might say, well, boy, we're way off here. And on some of those, we are because we haven't had the correct. I'm sure just follow that we're gonna pan out. So looking at the numbers, we're pretty true. You can see in most cases where our revenue is higher than our expenditures, and so except for here for local streets, because we put in a lot in the sidewalks and stuff like that this year. Mike, could you scroll that down a little bit? Thank you. And the thing that you will see when we get to the bottom is for what we are proposing for this year is pretty consistent to where we're at now, as far as expenditures. For the last so many years, our budget has been off because of all the grant money there. With no grant money on the table for the 2026 at this time, the numbers are becoming a little bit more truer. So when you look at last year's budget, we had what was like 2.5 in revenue, almost 3 million in expenditures. Where we're actually at is 1.8 in revenue and 1.7 in expenditures. If you remember at our work session, when we passed last year's budget, it was $394,000 in the red to start with. We have made up that difference at 394,000. Plus, right now we're 124,000 to the good. So by using that strategy, by keeping your revenue low and your expenditures high, it's working. You can see if you can hang on just a little farther, Mike. Okay, so this is for the 2026. I'm projecting our revenue being 1.65, you know, that's a little lower than where we're at now. Our expenditures 2 million, you know, again, that's a little higher than where we're at now. So those numbers are, you know, should work out the same as long as something catastrophic doesn't go, you know, happen. We're gonna replace a water tower or something, you know, crazy like that. Our budget compared to years in past is quite a bit lower, but again, it doesn't have that great point. Alright. So anyway, this is pretty true. Trent looked at that and he likes the numbers and where everything's at and that should be a solid budget for us to work with this year. So are there any questions from the council right now?
Like, I will jump real quick. I forgot to ask if all in favor of opening the public meeting.
Oh, all right.
All in favor of opening the public meeting?
Thank you, Mike. All right, now this is a public hearing, so if there's any questions from anyone in the audience. And what, just for some of you that you may renew this, the strategy that we use every year, if we know, for example, if we know we're going to get 1.8, 1.9 million out of revenue, we always set our revenue lower. Okay, so if worst case scenario, you know that you can make it on the lower income coming in. For our budget, when you pass a budget, you pass appropriations, okay? You pass the expenditure part. So we tend to keep our expenditures at the beginning of the year high because we know we won't get to everything that we put on the wish list. So that number is going to come down. And just like you know, it did quite a bit from here, but and we know this number here is going to go up. So by looking at this at 2026 budget, I kept this about $180,000, $170,000 more than where we're at this day. Again, with there's 6 months to go. So normally you get the bulk of your state revenue at the end of the year. They tend to hang on those checks and give as much interest as possible before they send to you. So we know that this number's here is still going to go up this year. Expenditures, when you get down towards the end of the year, pretty much, especially in northern Michigan, your projects are winding down. You know, you don't have any big line items to look at. What I like about that our expenditures here, there was a couple things that we threw at you this year and wasn't budgeted. Okay, it was industrial park, water and sewer improvement there. It was medical park. You know those types of things. So again, we have enough space in that budget. Where something comes up, as long as it's not crazy, we can still cover. Now speak it out without any. So we're right in the same ballpark without any grants. We're looking at a $2 million budget, but it'll probably settle more for 1.75 or something like that. And that's where we're at. Any questions for anyone in the audience? Yeah.
Can I get a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Can I get a second on that, please? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
By the way, these public hearings usually don't last more than 2 minutes. There's a lot. For the budget 2026. Next item, the approval of consent agenda.
Make a motion that we accept the consent agenda with bills to be paid in the sum of $2,802.27.
Yeah, first, can I get a second on that, please?
I'll second that.
First, second, any questions? If not, roll call, please. Lottie?
Yes. Smirko? Yeah. Miller?
Yes.
Official?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next item will be approval of regular agenda. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the regular meeting agenda as written.
Can I get a second on that, please?
A second.
First, second, any discussion?
Please, Ted. Is it correct that Jim Curriell is not Dana or Commission rep for the council when getting the annual report?
Jim will.
Jim will. Okay, that wrong for that.
Yeah, Jim sat down with, Tim, rather than the chair, and they drafted it. So.
Okay, any other questions on regular agenda? If not. Roll call, please.
Yeah.
Fisher. Yes.
Smacko. Yeah.
White.
Yes.
And Miller. Yes. Next item is manager report. Mr.
Welcome everyone to tonight's village council meeting. I just want to start off by saying to the Brown Rock board, Sue and Carmen, oh, I mean that was cool. I mean it was amazing. The thing that took me back and looking at that was you saw people of all ages, but you saw people looking at different activities or different events that that work, provides for them. I saw people walking dogs, but the kids were all over the place. I mean, it was for a whole morning. It was a heck of a turnout. So Sue, congratulations to you and your board. What a wonderful job. You probably feel sleeping a little better at night now.
So I had a great walk that day.
So anyway, just congratulations. I just couldn't believe just how wonderful it was. I know Rotary was really taken back by the
Good.
kids.
It would be proud of talking.
Yeah, that means a little sign. So real cool. Did it right. Josh Myers that works at that tech center is supposed to drop off the first shipment of braces for the pavilion. I have the Lions Den that's going in, you can see them and then put them up. So hopefully we can start putting those poles up here real soon. Not a whole lot new on Hiawatha. We're still negotiating the pavilion. Gazebo that this had to happen, with the ship. We're within $10,000, and and it isn't our money. It's the grant money. Okay, I could close this right now and the firm is up to $24,000, and it wouldn't cost the village a dime. But it's the principle of it. They did a poor job, and I'm struggling to give them, to pay them or reward them for a job that was not done right, where it was not done correctly, and they came back and said, well, we could fix that for $6,000, and we had a chance to, and your bulk had it, you didn't do it. Plus, you didn't do the electrical, so I mean, we're getting closer, but we did have to extend that grant through the end of the calendar year. They can't pull the grant till that's settled, so they're MEDC is kind of telling me to hurry up and find a settlement here, so we'll get that done. Next week you'll see some fencing going up around the spruce lot. Where we're at with that is we've had some meetings with our attorney. They're writing up the paperwork to prepare to issue that to the owner to take them to court. This dangerous building, their demolition permit is going to be done, I think, December 16th. I don't see them doing anything. Everyone's been paid, and I think that eventually what will happen is we'll go to court. Then what will happen is they'll have so many days to respond. I want to say 3 days. If they don't respond at that time, on what the judge settled for as far as having that building taken care of. Then the village will have the freedom to step in and do it ourselves. So that money that we spend on putting up the fencing to make sure it's secured for the winter months and any demolition, that will just go on their tax roll, their taxes. And so, maybe we'll see that money again when they pay their taxes, or maybe we'll just inherit the building, so.
Or we can start charging like a fee.
We have it,
We have
yes, and that's part of, when we go to court, what we're gonna negotiate. The chances are, we'll have a side bargain going on, we're going to step in and see what they, you get paid this or paid this, no. So anyway, it's frustrating for the residents in this community, and it's been very frustrating for the village office too. We had a fun opportunity last Thursday. The third graders at Roscommon Elementary School, it's in their curriculum, the third grade, the social studies, that they learn about local government. So in the last 3-4 years, they've been coming to the village hall. Have come in 3 groups. A third of the kids will go to the Saddle River Center, where Sue will meet them there and give them a little tour of the museum going around there. A third of them will go to the craft center and get a tour of that building, and Jory covers that. And the last third will come here, and then the kids will rotate around. Jim Curriel's and the men ran a little exercise with them, and the kids really enjoyed it. Typical third graders, a part that they enjoy the most is Easy Pizza, donating 10 pizzas, and Papa's Parlor had some ice cream cookies for them, they've had some. So the kids all ate here. We had them all pick up here. Then they could get back in time for their recess. So when you walk down the hallway, you'll see right on the wall here to your right, there will be a bunch of signs and thank yous and stuff like that. That's done the third graders. So anyway, a very well behaved bunch. It was a very enjoyable day. So that's all I got.
Okay, any questions for Ron on his manager's report? If not, we'll move on to public announcement, agenda item, 2 minutes for speakers. Okay, so we have not. Move on to unfinished business, DPW report, Mr. Chanel.
Here, everyone. Hopefully everybody knows street lights, several grappling between the words and rerunning some wires and everything, but all of the lights are working along the Brickles district completely now. They do all have color changing LED light bulbs. And I think there's probably 5 or 6 of those bulbs over time, so we're not necessarily responsible for the colors in we are thinking about possibly changing those into color bulbs along the railroad tracks, because one of the things that we found out, and we went to the bulbs before, the vibration from the trains going by with the heavy bulbs inside there seems to be holding our fixtures out a lot. And we're thinking of these layered bulbs in there, which hopes that may help us save money on programs too. Village parks and winterized with Metro nowadays. We started discharging on November 3rd at the sewer plant. So that will probably go, depending on how all the testing and stuff goes in, be probably through in December, maybe in January, depending on what the numbers are for water. We're currently preparing all the winter equipment, doing the final things, the plow trucks, ready to the stuff for the snow that we already started getting. Andre, you guys all remember, Andre was here as, full making leave in August or September of last year. We went for the CDL right off the bat, in his first year plowing last year. With no missions. He did went and took his, level twos, we're doing race operator license. So we will know if he passed that test sometime towards the end of December. And we will then have 3 people that are certified as sewer. We pick up at branches, mowing and continue our focus this morning, actually, we'll continue weather permitting. Looking at the weather report, and if the weather changes, we may get out, be able to do a little bit more, but probably Wednesday will be the last go up, and maybe we'll probably get through on it, because there can be sore throats and, you know, regardless if this stuff thaws, it freezes up overnight again, and it fills up. Well, the only other thing that I have, a couple weeks ago, a BFD, variable frequency flying, on well pump 4 on the field. Up order needs to start right up. So this ramps it up slowly and ramps down slowly. Well, that one failed. We're working around, and that one's going to just continue. The replacement for it was $6,200. We did a little more research and found one that was the replacement for what we think are currently. Brand new on the shelf, just never been sold. We bought that, got it for $2,700 instead. When I looked at it, was warranty, you know. This one we got is on 12-month warranty. But I thought, well, that's not that much. But when I looked at the replacement, that was $1,500 and was 18 months. So I figured we could, for 6 months of warranty, we can kind of take a $4,000 chance. And so that did finally arrive. The one thing that's website where I ordered it from, when it said 1 to 3 day shipping, didn't say it was coming from Hong Kong. But it arrived over the weekend, so that will be installed on Thursday. And it'll be up and good.
Any questions for Mr. Shell? Sure. If not, thank you, Doug.
All right, thank you.
Next item is economic director report, Mr. Perry Ellis.
Good evening, everybody. So when I started here at the village a couple of years ago, there were a couple things, well, there's a lot of things that Mr. Alden, village manager, tasked me with. And two of the things, one was housing, and the other was improving our relationships with the school district. If you were to drive downtown, you wouldn't really see anything that had, you wouldn't see blue and gold, you wouldn't see anything that had to do with connecting the village of Roscommon to the schools, and vice versa, frankly. And so I'm happy to report on a couple of things here. Housing Task Force, which started at the village level after the county had pretty much eliminated the housing authority, is now more back to the county level. And the County Economic Development Committee has a community development subcommittee that will have as one of its focused points housing. That subcommittee is open to the public, and if you are interested in the topic of housing and community development, you will meet the second Thursday of every month at 4:30 here at the village hall. So, I mean, the discussion will not, for the most part, be regarding the housing project that we've been talking about for the last 12 months, but other related housing issues as we continue to move forward beyond just this development here in the village. Next, you know, we have been using banners, the homecoming, the classes will decorate downtown with the different windows and the storefronts and so forth, and we get an idea of what's going on, when it's homecoming and so forth. And we get a really good turnout. I'm so proud of when I go to a sporting event at the schools, and you see community members there that don't have kids in school. haven't had kids in the school for a long time, so keep that up. This is a very, very cool, small community to live in, and supporting the schools, I believe, is very important. So being tasked with that was very important. Uh, Backing up a little bit to some legitimate business. Halloween, somewhat legitimate. Halloween night has become such a really cool event downtown Roscommon over the just the last several years to the dedication of our business owners and other folks that are right in the downtown area, not just the traditional downtown, but all the way out toward Nestor Chevrolet. Everybody's participating. There's a trunk or treat there. The village hall had 417 kids visit on Halloween night and receive over 1,000 pieces of candy. And so imagine there's 1,000 people that live in the country. You know, not all the kids are from the village. You have 400 show up. It is just incredible. So what a cool thing we developed here. Thank you to the village council members and community members that donated bags of candy toward that effort. Facade grants. The DDA continues to offer rolling facade grants up to $5,000 match. Most recently, if you have checked out the Artifacts store, a couple storefronts down from here, they just took advantage of a $5,000 facade grant and a all brand new window and trim. So it looks really, really sharp. If you know anybody that has a building, the DDA district eligibility again goes all the way out north toward Nestor Chevrolet and then as far down past actually toward Lear is where the DDA district ends up. So and of course this way all the way down toward the church. So yeah, knowing businesses, please take advantage of that. Globe lights, you may have noticed, they were orange, pumpkin orange, and some of them had some jack-o'-lantern faces on them, which is kind of cool. We tried to get those down, had a little issue with that. But the girls volleyball team is ranked #1 in the state, and they're playing tonight at Hope Lake, and that's the #3 team. And so we will likely turn those blue and gold tonight through tomorrow. And and then eventually we'll turn them back to something orangish for Thanksgiving, and then eventually some Christmas colors on those. The first winter market was held this past Saturday. Winter's Farmers Market, we call it Farmers Market, indoor winter market at the River Center. The market director, Marcy Dankert, reported that they had 15 vendors this past Saturday, and the traffic was decent. And the next winter market, indoor winter market, will be December 13th, mark the calendar. This Saturday from 10 to 7 will be the Those downtown, which also happens to coincide with opening day of deer season. The Rotary Club is sponsoring the poll as always, and that will be Fred's as usual, right downtown. And the DDA would like you to know that 6 months from now, mark your calendars. They want to just get it in before anybody else took their spot. May 9th, at 1 p.m. will be our annual village cleanup. So I know that's 6 months out, but they would like to jump the calendar right before anybody else give that date. And lastly, if you got a chance to see the high school musical, anybody see the high school musical? Wasn't that amazing? Well, what a pleasure to watch. There were kids, so much talent here. And, it was pretty cool.
You'd have to get the local adult actors too, wasn't just high school kids.
There wasn't.
There was one that go to elementary school and the general was all high school kids. It's a whole
Truly a community effort.
community outlet.
Yeah.
Great.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Perez? You know, just like the answer about young people. I so just comfortable when somebody says the young kids are not used to be, they're fantastic. Wow, you know, I think the world of kids that
I'm not when I first moved here and I saw kids running around downtown on bikes, I had, a negative attitude toward that, and they're, the scoundrels are running around after dark, and I think Tony was one of them. Not sure, but probably. And, but today I see these kids riding around on bikes, and it just brings some joy to my heart. Thank you.
Here, let's get very old. Oh, sorry.
On top of the play, Friday night was sold out. Nobody sold out play, and that's due to community members and the parents and families of the people who play, so it was an amazing turnout.
Thank you. Next item is Redstone update, Amanda.
And so wanted to kind of take a step back. This big project for the community. I've been here also, in the scholarship capacity this whole year. Out here learning about a lot of new things. I'm doing a lot of trainings, networking with a lot of people, about housing and community development and all sorts of, different things that communities grapple with. So I wanted to share kind of some of the learnings I've had. I wanted to walk everybody through kind of step by step what our processes are from, reviewing all of that and exactly kind of what's happened to date, where we are, and sort of what's next on this whole thing. And just to acknowledge that, as I mentioned, this is a huge change for the community. So just want to recognize that change is hard to consider. What we're trying to do, and I'll talk a little bit about the role of staff in here, but just equip the council and the public with the awareness of kind of what's going on and, equip you with all of the information that you have a need for making the decisions that council does. So that's the purpose of this today. We don't have was kind of go in order to not show all this at once, but I'll kind of walk us through step by step. So just starting with painting the picture, walking back to why is there a housing project? Why do we need housing in the area? So you hear a lot of times us refer to it as a housing crisis. Refer to that as at the state level as well. And it does not exclude our county. So the shortest thing is supply is short, so construction costs are high, so prices are going up. And therefore, employment aids individuals, families, in order for them to live, work, and thrive here, they're having a hard time. So a few things that kind of just illustrate that. We're talking about is this is the home price index. This is about 2020. Really booped up since 2013. 174% increase in that home sales price index. That's huge. And just since January 2021, 77%. So for people who've been in the community for a while, or have existing mortgages, things like that, it wasn't, before. It certainly wasn't. And things have certainly increased. And then when you look at wage growth, so we have been having some wage growth over that same period. 52% across the county. Obviously, that's pretty significantly outpaced. The home price index is significantly outpacing that. So there's a disparity. So that's where people are feeling the squeeze basically on housing and the affordability of housing. And we saw that reflected in our master plan. So in the survey, the top two things that people noted as issues in the master plan were essentially lack of housing, the lack of affordable, lack of attainable housing. So we see that in our residents' feedback too. Then we've had also, there's quite a bit of rentals that are in the proposed site plan. Well, what about we want people to be here and be homeowners? We certainly do. That's also in the site plan, but also statewide housing, statewide housing plan that was put together. Had done the survey across the state, and when they surveyed renters, 8% want to pursue home ownership at some point. That may not be their first step or the first, availability for them to just come into the community and buy a home. Where do they go in between them? Two quick stories about that. I have about 31 now,
But, it's my age, with kids, kind of try to come into the community, a couple of my friends are about the same age. They just recently moved to the community and had similar struggles that I had of trying to find a place. Down in, Kirksville, and then try to find a place closer to Roscommon because the community garden was like, what, I need to be close to Roscommon over a year because the supply was so short. And it was so difficult to find a place. So what if people don't have the, place to stay, and they want to be in the community and they don't have the ability to stay with somebody and there's no rentals available? It can show you in the housing study where they look at our rent capacity in the county and attack like 100% essentially. And healthy rental markets have somewhere between like 94 and 96%. We're way over, the demand for rental is way outpacing the supply. And we know that when people can have access for rental, they may want to move into homeownership eventually. So we need to get them here. Or the other story, Kathy, you could probably tell us during public comment if you want to again, because she told it at planning commission last month, is that people, was raised here, went to school here, if I get this right, had friends, that wanted to maybe come back in the community, they couldn't find somewhere, they had someplace stop looking and you don't come here. Should stay, I think, with your parents for 3 years, 3 years in order to find somewhere. Because there's no rentals, there's not that entrance step. And so when you look at the site plan, I wonder why apartments, why rentals are needed. It's part of the whole housing ecosystem and covers the array of people in their various life stages that we want to be able to come here. If there aren't, people who are committed, to look over a year, to stay 3 years with family. They're just turning away. They're people we don't end up seeing in our community that don't come to contribute to our community. So that's something to be aware of. Something else which I was kind of shocked looking through the data too was that the labor force in Roscommon County at the Great Recession dropped about 30% and hasn't recovered. That's a 30% loss in our labor force. And we know there's several things that are contributing to that. Strictly depopulation, an aging community, things like that, which manifests in the forecast from our recent housing study shows a decline. Granted, it's not quite that much, but you don't want that to be really declining. And especially when you've got the gap in labor force, that means it's going to be down. You don't have people that can be contributing to local businesses, getting employed here. This is why it's a crisis. We have affordability getting squeezed. We have labor force in our community that's dropping. We have depopulation continuing to be forecasted. The underlying issue with all of this is there's just not enough supply. There's just not enough supply, not that the housing studies say for us. And the urgency around this is now in order to plan for our future. This stuff doesn't get built overnight. This plan is supposed to be built over the course for this particular Redstone project over 5 years. Still a significant change to the community. So again, gotta recognize what that is. But it's a repopulation effort around some of this labor force so that we can have resilience for the future. So that's my data portion, and I wanted to just walk about. Is there any question from the council that you've had on any of these points?
My major question, I guess, is I see the data. My biggest, actually, I want to pose this question to, I guess, just the ones that are sitting here, and I don't know to say, how many of you sitting at the table have actually read these housing studies, the 115 page, the master plan, and we got like that, okay, the housing study, like, I mean, that's really where we need to start, is like before we come to this table to make an educated choice, we need to really dive into these studies. Because yes, you are highlighting some of these things, but then there are things that like we need to take into consideration, because what I'm hearing is yes, we need the housing, but we need it to be affordable. And affordable for some places might not be affordable. Like when I'm looking at, and I don't understand them all completely. I'm trying to figure out the tables of 80%, whatever those acronyms are.
Yeah, AMI, area median income, yeah.
But it just, like, when you look at that and you look at the potential of these places, what their rent is going to be. I know we don't have exact numbers, but that's another thing. How to make a decision if we don't have exact numbers, like, or at least roundabout numbers of what rent is going to be, and then be able to look and say, is that affordable housing for what we're looking for? And I know we've got, like, we're trying to do workforce. Well, then let's look, what does an average teacher at Kirtland make? And does that fit into affordability for this project? It's just, I think that, and then having, like, getting more information out to the public prior to getting to where we're at today is helpful. Just because I feel like we get to a point where we sit here and have this presented as a what's my word? Sorry, I lost my words. As a vote with very little of the public knowing what is being presented to us. And in the master plan, it shows that 70-some% of people get their information from social media. So to have, like, I feel like more of this, I mean, they know Rocktoberfest is coming, they know Shamrock Drop is coming months in advance. Yes, it's been talked about at 34 meetings, I think, over the last, like, those that, like, having it in their face on social media where they get messages, I think would be really beneficial. Just to,
And it is now.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, we got it there. And that's understood. And yeah, no, that's, and I think that's fair. And we need to have the messaging out there consistently. And I think we've been trying, right? All public meetings, staff is limited, you know, not just have time just to be communicating constantly about it. When we have different methods, we've got, you know, the brochure, we have the public meetings, now we've got the FAQs and everything other stuff is more able to be talked about too, because not because it wasn't able to be shared publicly before, because it's been getting shared publicly, but it's like it's taken a form where we can talk about it, we have the answers to it. We don't have the answers to everything yet, to your point. But as soon as we have them, we're able to share them. There's no like trying to hide this. There's none of that really. There's none of that going on. We've been really trying to be just as transparent as we possibly can. This is a new thing for all of us. And I think there's something important to kind of distinguish on ways in which housing projects can be gone about. So I know there's discussions about, you know, potentially like the village as the developer in a case. And then that would be the village working on building out the infrastructure, using taxpayer dollars for that, and, you know, working with local contractors. That's a way projects can get done. In this case, there were meetings with contractors, local contractors, several of them, and, you know, people that want to take it on. When you look at the economics of trying to fund that through the village, well, one, the village doesn't have the capacity or the housing expertise to take on a project like this. And two, you know, when you're looking at the infrastructure costs, when you have a private developer coming in, like they're responsible for paying for the project. There's incentives that we could talk about, like that are in that FAQ that can offset things if there's affordability or concern from the village. There's a tool that can help with that. But you know, there's some difficulties, I think, with trying to think that the village can hire the developer in this case. Listen, we should be clear that the proposal that the land would be sold to a private developer based on their expertise, their interpretations of housing studies. They've put together the site plan that they believe is a good fit according to, you know, our master plan and all the things that they've reviewed. And so that's what this project is being approached.
I think part of the discussion is the word affordability. What is affordable?
Yeah.
Because not what houses are renting for right now, I think that's affordable for everyone. But so I'm looking at 2,000 prices of rent. I mean, everything is expensive.
Yeah.
And so when you say affordable, the days of $800 rent, I mean, that's, you're just not going to get anything for that.
Well, especially new construction. So I mean, I can highlight in our master plan, it just shows an example, and I'll pass this around the council, to at least have it too, and if anybody wants to look at it. Construction, it says, for example, taking into account all the expenses, the total cost to build a 1,500 square foot home with builder grade finishes in Michigan is about $296,000. For a family to afford that housing comfortably, they would typically require an annual income of about $80,000, assuming no other significant debts. That's above our area median income, for sure. And so that's where when we look at, and we'll get into the project, but that's why when we're getting into it, there's the grant that we're looking at for that infrastructure where the unit of government can be the applicant and then help provide some offset to the developer. There's that brownfield housing tax increment financing based on basically that land is worth nothing. Since 1999, it's collecting no tax revenue right now. So you use, instead of the village having capital up front, the developer fronts capital up front, but from future tax gains that those parcels in particular would get go towards helping offset some costs to affordability. So those are a couple of the tools that are at your disposal to help support the overall project.
What is this term brownfield? How does that fit into that?
Yeah, so brown, it's kind of a misnomer because it's under the brownfield like legislation, but actually, can you go down to the next one? This is actually a good segue. Thank you, Dan.
Cause I thought that had to be something that was.
Yeah, and actually that's in the next one. We'll just stay here for a second, but I'll talk about it. So in the state, there was a statewide housing plan that was put together from Michigan in 2022. So housing's going wild. We got to do something. So they put together a whole strategic document. Following that, they added under that brownfield legislation an option for housing. So it doesn't have to be contaminated, and it's not. The phase 2 come back, and there's no recommendation for further assessment and no remediation. But they added an element where you can use that same tool that you can use for brownfields, that future tax revenue to support offsetting of some of the project costs. So it's called brownfield housing tip. We could just call it housing tip to be simple. It's not brownfield property, but it's under that brownfield legislation. That clears it up or makes it more right.
Sounds like double talk.
In discussion of, because I know one of the hangups for local investors is having to get all utilities and that's a huge undertaking for a local investor. Has there been anything looked into for grants for that part of it to take that financial responsibility off of an investor to then
well, that's now, yeah, so we're a little ahead, but that's okay, because it's a good question. So with that statewide housing, actually go to the next one, we'll come back.
I can answer that.
Well,
Has been, that has been looked at. The one issue, take this grant that we're looking out and messed up, is a 50/50 grant. So
it's not.
if it's local contractors that want to go ahead with that, they still would have to put up $1.5 million in infrastructure costs. And when we had the meeting that was set up by our DDA, Mike Walker said, with local contractors, that was more than the wanted quite honestly.
And that program is a new program too. So like statewide housing plan 2022, 2023, the housing tip becomes available as a tool to help fund different housing projects across the state. MISHA CDBG, more acronym stuff, infrastructure grant program just started this year. And so that's a brand new program because they started looking at housing projects across the state and said, wow, infrastructure is a hang-up. We need to figure out how to fund that for housing projects because communities are running into this on their own. So that's also a new program. And at this point, when that program came out, we'd already been engaged with Redstone as well. So that's really the timing also of how that happened. But I'll talk through. I don't want to take up the entire evening with this dissertation, but I want to walk through it so everyone just has what I know, So basically what we start in, this is the housing development process. We start with plans. So these are what we've been using to set the direction of priorities. These are rooted in public input, data collection to help us identify overall needs. So Michigan has one. You can look on online. Region E, which is what we're a part of. Where am I? This area. Includes Roscommon County. They have created a housing plan as well, so we collaborate across the region with different housing experts. Their goals in there are build, baby, build, branding there, and increase supply of full spectrum of housing. So those are like the top two. They're like housing stock is number one. Those are the two sub goals. So we're like, okay, cool. That's what we're using as a guiding light. Our master plan, like I mentioned, showed our public input, top two issues, available and affordable housing. That was the top rated two issues by far. Okay, so we're using the plans to guide direction. Then we say, okay, Jim, this is part of Jim's, when he came out with housing, he said, we need studies to like show us what the heck is going on. So work with Roscommon County Economic Development Committee. They met across the county townships and had people, the townships chip in to get the housing study done. We knew what was going on. So came out in 2024, highlighted the need for mixed type housing for family, workforce, and seniors. And I have it highlighted in here, but the top identifiable target market categories: senior housing. You'll see these all on the site plan. Senior housing, couples, families with moderate income seeking home ownership options. A lot of times, if you hear the term missing middle, that's what that is. And that's sort of what we talked about, that labor force that dropped off. We want those people back. But we also want single couples, small families seeking rental housing options. There's a big rental gap. That's what we call, you might hear sometimes like the workforce housing. So those are top three categories, and those are all represented in that site plan. Okay, so we're following the studies. The developers, they're housing experts, they build these kind of, Redstone builds these type of neighborhoods. It's sort of their jam. So they read the housing study, they're interpreting it, so that, and they're turning that into a site plan. There was a second study that this region did, and had a county breakup for Roscommon that basically shows the same exact thing in terms of who we need to target. And they show a 5-year gap of 1,275 units for our county. Not the region, that's how you start counting. So you would say, why the volume? Like, and it's going to take 5 years to build. That's still only going to be a drop, a drop in the bucket, but just a few drops in that overall bucket of shortage that we have. And so, again, this is just to set the stage, like this, why we've been doing in terms of the staff perspective and working with Redstone and trying to develop this. Also, Redstone has been the one leading the expansion. I think the site plan started with like 60 or 70 units in the beginning of the year. And they're the ones that have been coming back and saying, hey, actually, we think we need more. We think we need the hotel, which is in our tourism assessment study from 2023 and in our master plan from resident feedback is the top business they think is missing. So, seeing these pieces, and that's kind of went into developing that. That leads us to a site plan proposal process. So this is our processes, the village, to gather public input, assess zoning compliance and site plan. So this is where, we've been doing engagement across. We've expanded into the social media sphere and on our website now that we have enough information, answered questions as we can. And then, February to July, this is where there was some like preliminary site plan discussions, like not real frequent, initial engineering, kind of rough sketching, reviewed at planning commission in May, when someone came in and did a presentation. Then in July, we got together with like a pre-application cross-functional conference. So they brought their engineers. We had Lisa Brandenburg there, the lawyer was there, staff was there, DPW was there, everybody was there. Like, let's ask questions and just try to understand, what's going on and what we need yet. This is a process that, like, just I'm saying, not that we don't know what we're doing, but this is not a project of the scale that, has been done here before. So we're trying to figure this out together, putting all of our brains together. So that's what was happening then. And then August and September, that plan was getting progressed. Redstone was working on some of their engineering and some of those studies. And then in October, Jim Luck went through it and their zoning amendments to look at that site plan. and determined compliance with that and recommended that, and then planning commission reviewed it. And what planning commission is doing here is the village council adopts this ordinance. Then planning commission approves according to the ordinance. So they conditionally approve that site plan based on that ordinance that you guys approved. So maybe, can we go back real quick, one slide, and then I'm getting close to being done, sorry. But it takes a village to address all these things. So I just wanted to, I know there's been questions about kind of who does what too. So public, you all, thank you for being here. We've been super excited to have the engagement. It's good, like any of the questions are good, just to like, okay, have we thought of this? Have we not thought of that? Like, it's a good thing to have, you know, respectful conversation back and forth and engagement with everybody. So thank you for continuing to show up. That's important at these public meetings, or to council staff directly, like always reach out. You also provided input as part of the planning master plan process. That was great. It's moving from the public. From the staff perspective, village manager, economic development, so it's our job to implement those plans that the village council has adopted. Track development, manage the progress, present the proposal recommendation based on the processes that you guys have defined, based on the data, based on consultations. I mentioned like local, regional, statewide partners that have more hard housing expertise than we do. We need extra arms and legs. So that's what we're doing. We're presenting that recommendation to you all. We're trying to get as much information to you, to give you that context so you feel comfortable and what decision you're going to ultimately end up making. Zoning admin, reviewing those site plans in accordance with the zoning ordinance. Planning commission reviewing and approving site plans based on the zoning ordinance. And then you guys, as mentioned, I start with you approving the master plan and zoning ordinances. Approving the site plan, set review fees. Approving financial decisions then related to the studies. We get running that study back when land transfers, which would be one of the next decisions. With any grant requirements that we have and any tax increment financing or other such tools. So the financials start and end with you guys, you know, for all grant adoption. Any questions on the roles, responsibilities, or how any of that part of this?
Thank you.
Very clear.
Remember, we'll add that over the past several years, we have received 3 different grants that dealt with infrastructure. But the WAM grant that did the new lines for galvanized fittings and or any lead, you know, lines. It was the USDA and the ICE grant. Those grants were all targeted on making improvements to your current system. There was no grants available that were for expanding your system. Had there been, you know, the industrial department would have been nice. So we could have formed stuff of that. So it's good to see that they're starting to come out now with grants for expansion of water, sewer, and utilities. But those are going to be too bad. Those grants are, and then they get gravel up quick for life. And you spend on repairs and expand a little bit more, and we go from there to 12. So
I'll just finish up with kind of where we're at in the next slide.
no.
Yes, please. It's this orange turned out terrible. So site plan proposal here. There's still some conditions that were noted in there, like you know, I've been talking about like MDOT. So like MDOT study had been done, the preliminary one just got reported in the weekly meeting verbally. There's no special things. MDOT then has to finalize the report and send it, and that's available. It'll be available. And things like that. So that's continuing to be worked on. However, we're at like site plan financials. So this is kind of like where village council is coming in here more heavily. So this is helping us basically support the site plan and the community housing goals. So all this stuff ahead of here is like, all right, now how do we pay for it and make it work, basically? And so this is where the purchase agreement and land transfer ordinance for the property there. The lawyers are drafting up something for you guys to take a look at. So you can structure it in the way that you'd like to for that. And so that'll get presented sometime before the end of the year. the developer financials, so I know this question had come up too, and I frankly asked them multiple times and was pushing for it, and like a little too soon. They're like, we just don't have it yet, you don't have the site plan approved yet, but now that the site plan is approved, sort of like their next step to open up, checkbox to open up, some additional engineering, so now they're doing more engineering costing, so that we can understand more about that, which would feed into this brownfield housing tax increment financing plan. So they do want to put one of those together. They need to see what the numbers look like. That would have things like, basically all the financials for the project. And if they have gaps, potentially because of construction costs, if they're too high, or the infrastructure and things like that. And that would be based on future tax revenue. So this is something to be determined. We don't have that yet. They're working on that. They would be presenting that as something, and that is something that if there's more information, that frequently asked question, but that has to go through council, that has to go through DDA, that has to go through the county. I'm forgetting one, the BRA, no. Local municipalities that have taxing authority over those.
Again, what do you call that?
Higgins, reform, Higgins. So that would be a multi-step process that we're not there yet. The next step is going to be that purchase agreement stage. The other thing that is happening now is this CDBG. There's another round that's open for that infrastructure. So we had originally submitted a letter of intent back in April, I believe it's April. Just not really knowing too much about it, like infrastructure. We need infrastructure for a housing project. Like, let's see. And we got a designation memo for the $1.5 million. That basically means you have an invitation to apply for that grant. Well, we realized this process, was more complicated and with more steps, and so we weren't going to get that done. And we didn't want to rush that, so we deferred to the next round and resubmitted a letter of intent. So we're waiting to hear back for an invitation to apply at this point. But the hope would be that would provide $1.5 million in grant funding for the infrastructure, and that would be confirmed sometime in spring. For next year. That's not the TIF, that's the grant. The TIF is actually something that's totally in local control by the taxing entities based on what you would provide as basically future tax revenue based on those parcel gains. So that that you're going to get water and sewer rates, right? Water and sewer revenue right away from whatever new units are on there. Things like that. If you choose this tool to help with some of the affordability around the project, then you have an ability to pay for additional things with some of that taxable gain on the property. If that makes sense. Yeah.
A lot of people don't have a clue, including the DDA for years. I didn't even have a clue what the TIF plan was. And I was in communication with Michigan Association of County back about 2018. Called back. They came out bitterly opposed to TIF plans. And our county here has turned down 2 applications from St. Helens to Roscommon Township. They don't have, they have DDAs. They can be TIF.
Yeah, DDA and TIF, sir. Yeah, there was a sort of
State of California where this all started. Excuse me. The governor eliminated 400 of all.
Yeah.
And the economic development alternative infrastructure, but nonetheless.
Well, it's same idea, but different purpose. So like there was some reason why they did want to be funding DDAs that way with the work DDAs were doing. This is specific just to one project at a time.
So everything built up there would be tax free because there's no tax there now.
Yeah, we're not getting anything now. We're not getting the local spend that those new residents will get. We're not getting any water and sewer yet. So it's a delay in, if you go that route, then it's a delay in when you'd receive that taxable gain. So the tax incentive for the development.
Yeah, they would get it all.
For a period of time before it comes back.
Well, 1 year couldn't get effect till it was 25 years instead of until 2030.
Yeah, and that's all negotiable in that plan. So they're gonna put that plan together. You could say, we don't want to wait 30 years. We're only willing to do this amount. Like it's negotiable at that point. They show you what their financials are, and if you guys decide, we don't want to wait 30 years, it's too long, then you make that decision at that point. If that's something that's coming, they're not ready yet. So there's just steps to it. It just goes, it's a long process. And then the other thing that we did get, Representative Borton came in August, and we talked to him about this project. And for phases 2 and 3, there's gonna be more infrastructure needed. state is very interested in housing. They've invited us to come testify for a direct appropriation, sit on the appropriations committee, so that's never guaranteed, who knows? But it is an invitation and a door open that potentially we might be able to get some more support there. So what would happen is if you guys did go with an increment financing tool, if then this money came through after, it would basically reduce the amount here. So either that shortens the term of that TIF plan, or, you know, yeah, basically that, or it just knocks off an amount that would be on there based on what is received directly if that comes through. So that's what we have. Question? Yeah. Yeah.
So Redstone says, you said that this is kind of what they do, have they had projects where they've had individual living apartments and a hotel all in the same area, like this envisioning like people coming here looking for housing. We've got the duplexes, we've got the stuff going on, the subdivision that Hawk Builders are doing. Old Lake, you've got 3 or 4 apartment buildings being built up in Grayling. Have they done something where it's had all of that right in the same area and people actually like wanting to live right next to a hotel like that? It just seems
That I don't know about the hotel piece. But they have the mixed unit housing projects.
like the individual and the apartment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm just curious how that is going to affect people wanting to buy a duplex or rent right next to a hotel.
Yeah. That's a fair point. So what, also just back to the site plan too, then like phase 1 is the 2 apartment complexes of 24 units. That's what they've proposed for site that, and that will be the infrastructure that's needed to support that and the lift station that's needed to support the eventual whole site plan. That's what phase 1 is. These phase 2 and 3 approximately, however they end up getting exactly split up, that's preliminary like site plan approval. So like stuff is subject to change. Like maybe they find out they need more townhomes and duplexes or, you know, some of those things, and that would get routed back through planning commission if there's changes. But or the hotel, if they say, hey, actually, maybe that's not, then that would be go back through planning commission. Right now it's preliminarily approved, but if for some reason down the line, so that would be a change process.
So the vote is on all phases or just phase 1? Like when we.
The vote will be to sell the land, yeah, and then they already have the site plan approved from planning commission for phase 1.
For phase 1.
And that's what they're gonna start with.
So then they have to come back for approval for phase 2, like they'd have to show us the site plan phase 2 or not.
Planning commission.
But yeah, and then if. So site phase 2 would have to be also approved by planning commission, phase 3. And if anything were like major change, or to go back to them for approval, it's not like once they have the land, they can just do whatever they want with it.
No, they need to go through the zoning approvals, yeah. And also as part of like the, you know, like what's called a developers agreement along with that purchase agreement, so there's certain like parameters that you can build in there. Saying, you know, like, it should take 10 years, I don't know the exact verbiage that they're gonna, it's being recommended by the lawyers and stuff, the lawyers specialize in housing too, that we have, that we're engaged with, so. They would put in stop guards, recommend stop guards with us, just to help us along, like things to think about for like, you don't want it to just sit there. Like you sold it, now they're not doing anything with it, so you have to put in some stop guards, so that should be in the language.
One more question for Amanda, on the rental update.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah, thank you. Don't move in front.
All I gotta do is
Making rezone property.
Okay. We'll talk about that too. And I just passed this too, you guys can take a look through it and like, let's just have some of the highlights from what the housing studies. Those last, I mean, all these things are daunting to read, but it's 100 pages. There's a lot of detail in there, so we tried to highlight some of the key things that, you know, we and Redstone have looked at and are pulling from to guide the priorities here. Okay, zoning, back to zoning. So back in March, you all had approved the rezoning of that parcel from highway commercial to mixed, development here. So there's a process by which you need to notify ahead of any zoning change. And there's also one that you need to do it afterwards. We need to come back and kind of start at the point we've done the part before with notifying. We need the point where we have a new updated resolution from council supporting that change. And then we need to do a notification in the paper. So it's nothing new, it's a resolution to meet the timing requirements, afforded by the state.
Since we're just looking for a motion to approve the resolution, that of the village property, zoning the zoning change. Where are we zoning this from?
So it's from, yeah, so it, let me see.
Very well.
This blue part I make red, so the other part, reason for it is like this blue part is standing out from the red, so like you want to really have like consistency in your zoning. And so that's part of the change too, so this blue would change to red,
To mixed development.
yes.
I make the motion to approve the resolution with the M18 property zoning district highway commercial permits development.
Yeah, first, second, please.
I'll second.
Yeah, first, second, any more discussion? What is this going to eliminate? I mean, when we get rid of highway commercial, I can't go there anymore. So I mean, it's getting,
When this development, you can still have, commercial.
you still have stores in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
With highway commercial, it's just limited to that, you know, you can't put houses.
Good, good house. Okay. Okay, I understand. Thank you. Okay, any more questions? If not, can I get a roll call method? Bishop. Yes.
Miller,
Yes. Schmeckel.
yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Amanda. Next on the board is 2026 village budget resolution. That's for all.
You have a resolution from you that, to adopt the 2026 budget and levies. And, or budget that I'm asking you to take action on tonight. It will be $2,058,308 for 2026. Levies will stay the same. 9.8 mils for the general fund and 2.5 mils for the sewer bond debt.
Do you need those as separate?
Yeah, we should go separate.
Can I get a motion to accept the 2026 budget resolution? As read.
I'll make that motion. Approve the 2026 budget resolution.
Can I get a second on that?
I'll second that.
Got a first and second, any discussion?
I have a question, or it might be a silly question, but I don't know if anybody. How can we approve the budget before approving the 2026 village council president and special meetings pay? Is it because it's inflated a little bit in the?
What I did is I took the current salaries and then just padded them a bit, just in case that you guys decide to increase those, but if not, they're going to want to get it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I figured, but I think they're energy.
Any more questions? If not, that's roll call, please. Bishop. Yes. Ready?
Yes.
Schmeckel.
Yeah,
Edwards.
Yeah.
Miller. Yeah. The next item will be the millage levy. Can I get a motion to approve the levy of 9.8 mil for general fund and 2.5 mil for sewer fund?
I'll make a motion to approve the levy of 9.8 mils for the general fund and 2.5 mils for the sewer bond department.
Can I get a second on that list?
I'll second that.
This is one for game no change.
Right.
I got a first and a second, any more discussion? If not, roll call please.
I'm sorry, who's second?
Gina,
Okay, Miller,
Yes.
Ready? Yes. Mitchell?
Yeah.
Schmecko? Yeah. Edwards?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is authorization of village assessor and treasurer.
Okay, now that you, approve the levies, now we have to approve to allow the local assessor to, uh, utilize those levies instead of the tax roll, and then to, give our village treasurer permission to the tax for 2026.
May your motion to let the village assessor apply tax roll to the village trustee collect.
I'll make a motion to authorize the village assessor to apply levies to the tax.
I have the first, may I get a second?
I'm sorry.
For a second, any discussion? If not, roll call please. Ready? Yes. Edwards?
Yes.
Fisher? Yes. Miller? Yes. Schmecko?
Yeah.
The next item will be village president's pay. David, are we doing? When you said this to the assessor, you also want to include the village program as well? Or you do that separate? I thought it was all the same motion. Well, you said it, they give the assessor. But included it the same. I said, for tax roll, the village treasurer to collect, but then I did. The assessor.
Yeah,
So would you like to change your motion?
Can I change that? To authorize the village assessor to apply levies to the tax roll and hereby direct the village treasurer to collect the tax.
Jerry, you okay with it?
Yeah.
Give it a second. Okay. So with the correction, I have a first and second. Roll call please. On that. Ready?
Yeah.
Edwards?
Yes.
Fisher? Yes. Miller? Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. Next item, on village president's pay.
I gave you a handout indicating what our current very long term payments. Is currently $112.50 to be the president per month, and $100.50 for the attaining the monthly, so a total of $225 a month to be village president.
Jerry, Graham, okay.
Make a motion to approve the village president's pay for 2026 to be set at $225 a month. Is that okay? Right, to break it down.
Same as it is now. Yeah. Keep it second. Yeah. Got a first, second, any discussion? If not, roll call please. Schmecko?
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
Fisher? Yeah.
Edwards?
Yes.
No.
Next item, we village council pay.
Currently, council pay for 2025 was $87.50 to be on the council per month, and $87.50 to attend council meeting for a total of $175 per month.
Okay, can I get a motion to accept the village council pay or not? Or increase? I make a motion to accept it as is. If we're not. It's gonna remain the same as it's been for the last how many years now.
I'll second that.
Okay, got a first, second, any discussion? If not, roll call please. Miller. Yeah. Fisher. Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
Edwards?
Yeah.
Schmecko?
Yeah.
No, sorry, with special meeting.
Certainly, you get paid $25 for attending a special meeting. I think last year I suggested that we might want to consider just raising that. Well, if it's something not special meeting, not that we probably 1 or 2 a year, but sometimes they can last, 1 to 2 hours. Currently, it's 24 hours. I mean,
Can I get a motion to set the special meeting then?
I make the motion to approve the special meeting to be set at $45.
Karen first, Karen, and then second, please. Karen first, second, any discussion? If not, roll call, please. Ronnie?
Yes.
Michael?
Yeah.
Miller? Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
No.
Thank you, guys. Next item, it'll be number 7, new business, planning commission annual report. Mr. Terrell.
So the board should have the planning commission annual reports in the packet. I have been working last couple of years with chairman of the planning commission previously, John Dix and on that. And currently Tim Riley, and I use a tablet and we go through and rehash what happened in every meeting and summarize it. Written questions on what you see in there. Otherwise, it's pretty simple.
We're looking for motion.
I make a motion to approve Village of Rockcommon's planning commission annual report as written.
Second, Bill. Yeah, first, second, any discussion? If not, Edward,
Yes.
Gibson? Yeah. Michael?
Yeah.
Ronnie?
Yes.
And Luke? Yeah. Next item will be tree protection agreement.
The village of Roscommon utilizes the sheriff department for our police protection and the help coverage for regular events. The 3-year agreement that we have with them expires in the end of the calendar year this year. And so this agreement we're going through December 31st for 2028. It's for the same amount that we have paid for the last 3 years, so $30,000 per year. And when you talk to all of those municipalities, this is the best deal in town. So I would entertain a motion to approve the sheriff. If it's approved, then Mike, you will have to sign this, and then I'll take it to the commissioner and they'll sign it. And then I'll give you the contract.
So can I get a motion to pay the police protection agreement of $30,000 per year ending December 28th of 2028?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with the sheriff department for $30,000 a year for 3 years.
Okay, can I get a second on that, please?
A second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please. Bishop? Yes.
Michael?
Yeah.
Edward?
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Okay, the next item will be the DDA student representative nomination.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Mike. Our DDA is one of 2 DDAs in the state of Michigan. I'm aware of that. Actually got high school student representation on your DDA. I said we've been probably 4 or 5 years now. We have given high school seniors the opportunity to get involved in local decisions that are made within the DD district. I think it's been beneficial for them as well as beneficial for us, because sometimes these kids will come up with suggestions, ideas that we have thought of or too old to think of or something like that. But this year we have 2 students that set forward after screening through the kids. Hayden Nestor for the senior representative and Faith Shooty as an alternate representative.
I will make the motion to approve Caden Nestor as DDA student representative and Faith Shooty as a DDA student representative alternate. May I get a second on that?
Second that.
Got a first and a second. Any more discussion? If not, roll call please.
I have a question. Do they use that as their senior project, or do they have a senior project?
They also have a senior
I
project.
hear them. It's good thing though, wouldn't it?
But they have to senior project, they have to put in so many community hours and stuff there, so that's a part of the right count towards that.
Okay, we have a first, second, any more discussion? If not, roll call.
Bishop,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sparkle,
Yeah.
Edwards.
Yeah.
And Murray.
Yes. Okay, next item is discussion item. Anybody have any discussion item? To talk about? If not, then we'll move on to public announcement, 2 minutes per speaker. Ms. Moore?
Time for another update.
All right, I only have 4 real quick ones for you. First off, I want to give a quick shout out to our emergency management director, Vanessa Varner. I know that that was the millage that got passed this past election, and when the SNAP program was announced that it was not going to happen for the people in our community, almost $7 million just in our county for that. May not get that perfect number, but it's close. Anyway, Vanessa contacted me. I serve on her committee, and she's like, we need to do something. I know it's not a ice storm, it's not a fire, but these people are going through food insecurity as a problem. So within 2 days, she put together a group of almost 20 stakeholders from DHHS, from 211, the food pantries, the baby pantries, this whole group. And we have been meeting every week to try to put together a model and try to find out a way. How can we utilize the current resources that we have? Because everyone now is grabbing whatever's available. How do we not use those and drain them too quick? How can we pull those together and make sure that the people in our county who really need this get something at least through that shutdown? Obviously, shutdown was closed, but then they said, yes, you'll get SNAP. Now they might not get SNAP. So we're still working on that. And the consensus of this group was like, even if government opens back up and everyone gets their money, this model will go into the emergency management plan. So that if something like this happens again, we can mobilize quickly. We know where the resources are. Even the community foundation was a part to try to find where could a pot of money come from donors and how do we get the right names? Because as a county, we can't get the names of people who are in that program. DHS can, and they even volunteered to send a letter out to those only in our county that would, if we came up with a solution, they would pay to send that letter out and get those people. So I think it was a nice collaborative effort to be prepared for maybe something in the future. For union contracts, we were almost close to getting those done, and we're back at the table this week. So those will continue. We haven't finalized anything there. Working on a multi-county agreement for the Northern Michigan Children's Assessment Center that's taking over part of that building. So because they do serve not just Roscommon County, trying to come up with a way to see how can we use money from each of those to come up with an agreement for everything that's going to cost to do that new building. And, I think that's it for me. Any questions for me? Anything you want me to take back to the county?
You're doing a great job. Keep up your work. Thank you. Thank you for all the work for it. Any more public? Yeah, this is, yeah.
It's okay.
Speak with our grand opening at Park. Thank you guys for coming and for your project. I think that you had a great experience there and it really turned out nice. So we were extremely happy. If you don't know, we received a grant from the Haiti Foundation, so we'll be having an ice rink in the pavilion. That's what's it takes out, so that is the box. There. So,
Don't think I'll be doing that.
so it's gonna take up pretty much the entire space there, so. I don't know those particular tables. Where those came from.
They're from,
Okay.
we had walking down there and it's just in all this stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
They're getting utilized quite a bit.
Yeah,
But we can move them out.
so we can move them too, but I just didn't know if you guys were planning on putting them away or.
We had talked about when moving down there for Oktoberfest and then we thought, why don't we just leave them down there first? So there's some place for something to set.
Yeah, we didn't know what would be like Ranger Run or anything we needed to be. And you just don't know, so.
Speaking of reindeer run, Christmas in the Village, Reindeer Run is going to be at noon this year. Sort of to get that completed before the Santa train comes. So Reindeer Run is at noon and for kids 12 and under, it's always free. And we had, I think, 48 people last year, so it's a good event. Baby, it's cold outside will be after the parade. So the events are all in 3.5 weeks, you know, it's gonna be rough. I know. Baby, it's cold outside at 6:30 again. In conjunction with the Rotary, so that's always a lot of fun. And we do run that. Yeah, that's it. And then pick up our newsletter. We just came off, but we couldn't put them out because we didn't announce the new park meeting until Saturday, so we'll be leaving some here. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Joanne?
I just wanted to say congratulations on the winning the recall of everything.
And more comments? Mr. Moore again?
Are you sure I can go twice? Is that not against?
So,
Running in 2 minutes, it's that way.
Okay, thank you, guys. Okay. Going back to the housing conversation, first off, what a great presentation on that process, because I think the process is where we kind of get lost in what has to come first, second, or third. We're all minds are racing to go down that path and the questions come. So that was very helpful. I know it'll come before the county probably as well. There's some pieces of that, and I do believe it's one of the pieces that our county has not disappointing to me. This is my personal opinion, not all the other commissioners, but that is not something that the county has been involved in and taken taken an interest, because it is a piece that affects the whole county, not just one area. And so I'm hoping as we move forward in our next plans that we can put a little bit more time towards that. And I do believe that if Representative Borton had a meeting, that at least is one step better to hopefully getting some appropriations from there. Because I'm not sure some of you we met with them back in 2021 with multi-stakeholders and multi-counties. And we mentioned, well, if I give you money, I have to take it away from somebody else. So I'm hopeful that if they're hearing that from their groups, and that continues to be an issue that you're pushing, that you might get some appropriations. They're supposed to be doing some more of that coming forward. So if you have things for us from a housing perspective, let me know. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank Amanda for putting together that presentation and made things so much more understandable on how the process goes. I always talk about the housing issue in this town, in county. As Amanda mentioned, it took Ty and I 3 years to save up the money for it. It took us 3 years to find a home. So together, it took that long to even find something, and we actually got lucky and found a house off market. Everything we looked at, everything we put in before that was sold out from under us with a cash offer, because we came in with a conventional mortgage. So someone searching for a house at a conventional mortgage, a single working class family that doesn't have any kids yet, that has student loans behind them, cannot afford a house in this county, because you end up getting bought out by somebody with cash offers where we aren't able to even compete in the market. So having rental opportunities, having these duplexes and the spaces that we can utilize in the interim is needed. We need it in this building. We have people come back to the city and stay in the school. I've had multiple people from my graduating class that I've seen pop up on my radar that they're here for a few months, they live with their parents, they might look into a purchasing a home, or they might even start the steps of purchasing a home and they disappear. So there's either nothing here for them, or there's no homes here for them. But thank you for considering the Roscommon housing project and really putting it into the work to create more homes in this area for people to build out a family and come back to the community.
Any more folks?
If not, we're gonna move on to council comments. Start with Mrs. Edwards.
Thank you for coming out on this chilly night and through that ribbon cutting. Yeah, it was good. And Amanda, great presentation, good information, and everybody else, I always think.
Probably, yeah, the Venture Park, so much fun to watch. And like Sue said, all ages, we're all benefiting from it. That's really exciting. So.
Well, it does have something to do with, I've been visiting libraries everywhere, doing research and all that. I don't know, all summer. And was coming out of the library here Friday and they happened to have a board sheet. And I just stopped in there. Want to interrupt your meeting for a second then? They found Roscommon's library is about the best one I've visited. I mean, it's small, but the parking is adequate and it's convenient. You don't have to walk 20 miles to get to the library. The bathrooms are conveniently located. Everything in there is fine. I went to Gladwin last, I had to go there twice. Because the people, the library was open, but the department I wanted to go to wasn't in front of volunteer. But their genealogy department, it's in a gym. It's an athletic building. You have to go in and walk steps to visit the place. I mean, but the library's downstairs. It's very inconvenient. Traverse Cities, they messed up their microfilm so bad. I was there for an hour and 50 minutes and I left and discussed. I couldn't even understand how to work the machine. Grayling, the same things happened in Grayling. But this library here is outstanding. People are friendly. And by the way, somebody needs to come and tell those employees about the Redstone project, because I told the girls in there Saturday morning about it, and they'd never even heard of it. It's right there. Okay, thank you.
Well, I was gonna mention the volleyball game tomorrow, but that has been mentioned, so, just if anyone's able to go out and support them, it's number one team in the state at our level, so that's pretty cool. And then again. We don't remember what it was. Again, that's no, I wanted to thank Amanda for that was very good information. And for engaging with the public when things did get presented to them. I think it's very important that they mention. I don't know if that was something that was going to be done at some point, but just having it out there and then responding to it at the village level was very encouraging to see. So I appreciate that. Yes. And I think that is good.
I want to say thank you to the residents from attending our meeting. We love to have you here. Your input is always appreciated. Doug, thank you for everything you do. Get ready for the snow. It's coming. Do an awesome job on the Roscommon area community park and pump track. Bring it new name it's called. It was awesome. I was up there for Saturday. I was there Sunday with my son a little bit. Tremendous people out there. I mean, it's awesome to see all those kids up. And adults all, even the handicapped come around for having fun Saturday. I want to thank the council members for doing what you do. Just to iterate on the volleyball game a little bit for tomorrow night. It's a 5:30 game start. Number 3 in the state. They are having a tailgate party before the game for Roscommon Buck. I was told by Gabe it's well worth the purchase ticket to be there. That's all he said. No, it's at home late. And then if they win, they'll be back on Thursday. We complete it for the champion. Thursday, home late.
Roscommon St. Helens Little League will be having a sale at the fun pool on Saturday morning. So I was looking for some goodies and want to see the deer hanging. Come on, and some champion. Roscommon St. Helens.
Yes, sir. I think the government shut down. If we took some of our, in support of kids, I think we took some of the student councils across the United States, instead of abortion, they would have that solved. Okay. Before coming to move on to item for next agenda.
Here are December, hopefully, what's your calendar for what? That's, your days off, for the tourists. Well, like, sorry, list of things that, like, it's, and so send an email out to all of you, seeing if rivers and things that might be available that we can get together to have, and especially that just opens on the healthy mind. There was no dates available after I strained everyone to say, okay, who's not doing something on this night? We'll try that again. With some new dates. Check it out. I should send that to this, but it's okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, I guess, that's still in the special meeting. How do I make coming for me? You would send an email around about this for a prior date coming up.
Yeah, no. Special meeting, we can, set that up for the housing.
Yeah.
And then none of the normal dates, work for the council. So I'm gonna, send out a new batch of dates. For you guys to look at. And I'm assuming about this board, I think the board has got to.
Okay, so it's still gonna be in December sometime. Okay, nothing else. I'm looking to adjourn.
Now we need a motion to adjourn.
I have a first, can I get a second, please?
One second, then.
Yeah, first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Multiple.